Good evening, everybody.
Buenas noches a todos.
This is the public hearing of the San Benito CIC Board of Trustees at Dr. Garza Elementary. It is Wednesday, January 24th, 2018, and I call this meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. Roll call. Mr. Mendez.
Present.
Ms. Mel Garcia.
Present.
Ms. Ana Cruz. Mr. Joe G. Gonzalez. Mr. Orlando Lopez.
Present.
Mr. Victor Rosas.
Present.
We move on to agenda item 3, but before we do so, I'm going to say a couple of words, also translated by Dr. Quesada.
Antes de empezar la junta, el presidente, el señor Michael Vargas, le gustaría decir unas palabras.
So I want to say thank you for coming. Definitely a large turnout tonight. I want to make sure that we are communicating exactly what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, at least a month or so, or at least a couple of months, in terms of where we are now.
Gracias por acompañarnos y por venir a escuchar, y especialmente por haber venido por haber estado aquí un grupo tan grande, porque queremos que todos escuchen y comprendan los cambios que se van a hacer en el distrito escolar.
If you remember, before this process, or even before we had these proposals, we had town hall meetings, which occurred at Riverside Middle School and San Benito High School. And in those meetings is where we discussed what we were going to do as far as options for elementary schools, options for high schools, but the idea that we needed to do something in order to compete against charter schools and our declining enrollment.
Ya había habido dos juntas de ayuntamiento, que una fue en Riverside y una en el High School, donde se hicieron unas recomendaciones acerca de qué es lo que tenía que hacer el distrito para competir con las escuelas charter. Y entonces esta junta comienza hoy con las propuestas que el distrito tiene para presentarles.
So our biggest goal has been as a board, full transparency, full communication, and everything within that. We have nothing to hide. So this is why we went to the community first to get input and make sure that we're making the best decisions that are in the interest of not only our students, but in the district.
La mesa directiva quiere ser completamente transparente, no quiere esconder nada y quiere incluir a la comunidad en las decisiones que se toman para el distrito escolar.
So tonight what you're going to hear from Dr. Carmen is exactly how we arrived at this point in terms of what we need to do in order to address the declining enrollment and to compete with the charter schools and other districts that are pretty much taking our kids, and we don't want to see that. The district also, as you have seen, has been on an upward trend, and so we want to make sure that as we're going in an upward trend and we're actually offering great things for our students, that we're also making sure that the buildings that we have are conducive to that.
La propuesta que va a presentar hoy el doctor Carmen les va a explicar los detalles de cómo quiere el distrito cambiar para ya no tener que competir con las escuelas charter y con la asistencia que ha ido disminuyendo en el distrito.
So I'll end with, before I give it over to Dr. Carmen, thank you for coming. The fact that you all are here is a testament that you love this school, you love these teachers, and so we want to make sure that this is a process that you fully understand and that you leave here tonight with no questions asked. With no questions unanswered. You will ask a lot of questions, I know, and we're looking forward to answering those questions because this is what this is about. I was talking to a teacher and I said, look, this could have been different. We could have decided to vote on it, implement it, and just do it. But we're here in front of you because we want to make sure that we're on the same page, that we're answering those questions, and before you leave here tonight, that you feel fully comfortable and that you trust that what we're doing is in the best interest of students. And also keep in mind, this is a proposal. It hasn't been voted on by the board, so this is why we're here also, to see if there are little things that we can do to this proposal that we can ameliorate or change in order to arrive at where we need to be.
En resumen, les da las gracias por venir aquí porque eso demuestra el amor que le tienen a la escuela y a los maestros. Y más que nada, quiere que estén aquí para que hagan las preguntas necesarias, que no se vayan con ninguna duda y que también recuerden que lo que se presenta hoy es una propuesta. La mesa directiva no ha votado, no se ha tomado una decisión, es simplemente una propuesta.
With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Carmen. If you want to follow along with your PowerPoint presentation, I'll turn it over to Dr. Carmen.
Y el doctor Carmen ahora va a iniciar una presentación que tienen ustedes en sus manos.
Thank you, Mr. Vargas. At this time, we're going to transition a little bit. The board is going to come down and sit on the floor level. We're going to bring the screen down, present some information to you. Once we have completed, each board member will have the opportunity to address the group this evening, and after that, we will have a question and answer period.
Okay. En este momento los miembros de la mesa directiva van a bajar porque se tiene que bajar la pantalla para que sea la presentación y después de eso va a haber tiempo para hacer preguntas.
All right, I'm going to hope everybody can hear me all right off this microphone.
¿Lo escuchan bien con el micrófono? Sí.
All right, I'm going to share with you this evening a proposal that I presented to our school board's building committee regarding the efficient usage of our buildings for the 2018-2019 school year.
Lo que él va a presentar hoy es una propuesta que ya se le hizo al comité de edificios de la junta directiva.
All right, to begin with, our district has a 5-year strategic plan, and working within that framework, there are 3 goals from that 5-year plan that this proposal addresses. The first is that we will improve the functionality, our energy efficiency, and security of all campuses and district facilities. Second, that we will utilize an efficiency audit the district had conducted. And finally, that San Benito CISD will maintain efforts to streamline our systems and our operations.
Esta propuesta surge de un plan estratégico que ya tiene el distrito y 3 objetivos de este plan es mejorar la funcionalidad, la eficiencia energética y la seguridad de todos los planteles escolares y las instalaciones del distrito. El segundo objetivo es utilizar la auditoría de eficiencia y por último que se mantendrán los esfuerzos para agilizar los sistemas y las operaciones.
So with that in mind, when I got here, some information was given to me, and we went out and looked to identify some areas of concern. To begin with, our Positive Redirection Center, Jocoleti PRC, was housed in portable buildings, and what we found, those buildings were in poor condition, and of course they use energy in an inefficient manner. They were never meant to be there permanently, that's why they're called portables, but they use an excess amount of energy to keep them cool. The second area that we looked at that we're concerned with is our gateway to graduation. It's an alternative high school for our students. It, as well as PRC, is located in portable buildings. We know them to be inefficient, they're aging, and they have a limited lifespan.
Cuando llegó el doctor Carmen, hizo un análisis y visitó las escuelas y vio que había varias escuelas que tenían ciertas necesidades y estas son las cuestiones de preocupación de esas escuelas. Por ejemplo, la escuela PRC tenía portátiles que estaban en malas condiciones y que también tenían el consumo de energía muy ineficiente. En la escuela Gateway hay un espacio muy limitado porque los edificios portátiles ya son muy antiguos y el consumo de energía también es ineficiente.
2 other areas that we looked into and considered were the possible overcrowding at San Benito High School, primarily in our common areas such as the hallways and the cafeteria. And then we looked at the available classroom space in our 12 elementary schools versus our declining enrollment, and we discovered that the enrollment was well below our capacity.
En el High School de San Benito también hay una posible sobrepoblación, principalmente en áreas comunes como la cafetería. Y en las escuelas primarias existe una disminución de inscripciones, así que están muy por debajo de la capacidad de las inscripciones.
And regarding our enrollment, we took a look at some data. We went back as far as 2007, 2008. At that point in time, San Benito had just over 7,000 students. The following year, 08-09, approximately the same. 2009, 2010, the enrollment had grown to over 11,200. In 2010, 11, 11, 12, our district maxed out for recent history, had over 11,300 students. Around that same time, however, we began to see some competition from some area charter schools, from South Texas ISD, area schools that were taking our students. And what has happened, as this chart shows, as those schools grew, our enrollment declined. In the 2015-2016 school year, we were down to about 10,800 students.
En esta gráfica pueden ver cómo ha ido disminuyendo la asistencia a nuestras escuelas. Hubo un punto en que tuvimos más de 11,000 estudiantes. De hecho, en el 2010, 2011, había 11,358 estudiantes. Y si ustedes ven, ya para el año 2015, 2016, había disminuido a 10,885. Se supone que algunos de estos estudiantes se han transferido a la escuela de las escuelas charter que están y también South Texas ISD.
So then we kind of expanded this and we look at if our enrollment continues to decline as it has in recent years, where we would be in 5 years. Currently, based on the capacity of our 12 elementary campuses, this year we have 10,400 students. We could operate with 10 elementary campuses open. We have enough capacity in 10 that we could close 2 based on our enrollment. In 5 years, if this trend continues and we continue to lose students, we would be down around 9,500 students in the 2022-23 school year. If that were to happen, we could operate with 8 elementaries and we would be having serious discussions about closing a middle school and operating with just 2 middle schools. That's if this trend continues. I can tell you that in areas where charter schools have moved in, that once you get 1 or 2, then you start having some second-tier charter schools begin to move in because they see the opportunity. They operate with a business plan, and they move in because they plan to make money off of pulling students from public schools. And we have received this school year notification that another charter school plans to open in our area, and they are required through the state to notify us. The notification, of course, gives the reason, the impact that it might have on a school district, and the reason every one of them chooses is that it may negatively impact the public school district's enrollment.
En esta gráfica lo que pueden ver es cómo ha ido disminuyendo la inscripción en el Distrito Escolar de San Benito. Y si esto continúa en 5 años, pueden ver que va a disminuir a 9,500 estudiantes. Entonces lo que explica el doctor Carmen es que ahorita tenemos 10 escuelas primarias disponibles para inscripciones, pero si la disminución de inscripciones continúa, entonces sería necesario que nada más tuviéramos 8 primarias y posiblemente cerrar también alguna de las secundarias o middle schools. Pero también él explica que las escuelas charter están avanzando en cuestión de abrir más escuelas cercanamente. De hecho, ya se le notificó a este distrito que se va a abrir otra escuela porque estas escuelas se aprovechan de distritos donde van disminuyendo las inscripciones, funcionan como negocio y entonces posiblemente eso es lo que pueda hacer que perdamos estudiantes a esas escuelas.
So one of the main reasons that we believe parents choose to take their children out of our schools and either homeschool them, put them in a charter school or an area district is because they want that choice. They want to choose the education for their child. And so we looked at it from the perspective, we can either allow this to happen, or we can try to be innovative and provide choices to our parents and to our students.
Los padres quieren escoger a dónde pueden mandar a sus hijos a la escuela. Entonces podemos hacer dos cosas: permitir que saquen a los niños y los lleven a otra escuela, o podemos convertirnos en un distrito innovador y crear otras maneras de atraer a nuestros estudiantes.
So the process we've taken to get to this point, we've had committee meetings, some that are district-based, district personnel-based, some that have involved the school board, trying to decide what exactly we want to have in San Benito CISD to serve our students, meet their needs, and to attract them to stay in this district and potentially attract students to come back into our school district. Beyond that, we've gone out into the community on 2 different occasions. We've talked about the concepts, tried to gain some perspective and some insight from our parents and our students. Additionally, related to the high school, we did send out a student survey trying to get input from the students at our 9th grade campus, VMA, as well as at our high school. That survey had a very low return. Out of about 750 students at VMA, 37 replied. About 2/3, 65%, believe that 10th grade should stay at the high school. At our high school, only 176 students responded out of about 2,100. 76% of them thought the exact opposite, the 10th graders should stay at the VMA. So 1, we had a low response, and 2, not a real clear response. High school students do not believe their classes are crowded, as the numbers also show, simply that the hallways showed up as the most crowded.
Para llegar a esta propuesta se hicieron varias juntas. Hubo reuniones de comité de la junta directiva, hubo reuniones administrativas, también hubo las reuniones del ayuntamiento, pero aparte de eso también se les dio una encuesta a los estudiantes de VMA y a los estudiantes de high school. No todos contestaron, hubo muy pocos estudiantes que contestaron. Por ejemplo, en VMA solamente 37 estudiantes contestaron a la encuesta. Y un 65% de esos estudiantes indican que el 10º grado sí deba de estar en el high school. Pero también se les hizo la encuesta a los estudiantes del high school y solamente 176 estudiantes contestaron. Y lo que contestaron es que ellos pensaban que el 76% de ellos pensaban que el 10º grado debiera de estar en VMA. Pero más que nada los resultados indicaron que los estudiantes del high school no consideran que realmente esté lleno como para cambiar un grado a otra escuela.
So based on the information that we received, we worked and put together some proposals for our board to consider. We would prefer not to see that decline in enrollment. We would like to not have to reduce our number of employees, our teachers, our principals, et cetera, if we continue to lose students. Instead, again, we want to be innovative and provide an education that our parents want to bring their students to.
Entonces, viendo todo esto, en realidad lo que nos gustaría no perder empleados y nos gustaría que ser innovadores y ofrecer algo que a ustedes como padres les gustaría que sus hijos fueran a esas escuelas.
Our first proposal was to transition our current elementary school at Dr. Garza into a STEAM academy. Science, technology, engineering, fine arts, and mathematics, with a focus on those areas.
La primera propuesta es reasignar a la escuela Dr. Garza a una academia que sea de ciencias, de tecnología, de ingeniería, de artes y de matemáticas, que en inglés sería STEAM, por sus siglas en inglés. Entonces sería Dr. Garza STEAM Academy.
And in essence, what a STEAM academy will offer us is, one, we will still teach the required state curriculum. On top of that, we'll have opportunities for hands-on activities that will reinforce specifically in these areas for our students. Those students who have an aptitude or desire to excel in those areas. We'll have things along the lines of robotics, we'll have drone work, we'll have coding available to the students. We will offer things along the lines of engineering where they're applying the math and the science that they learn. It's a wonderful opportunity for kids who have an interest in these areas.
En esta academia se seguirían todos los requisitos del Estado, pero sería para estudiantes que les gusta enfocarse en las matemáticas, en las ciencias, en la ingeniería y en las artes. Y tendrían oportunidad de desarrollar esos talentos a través de sus trabajos, sus tareas y de manualidades y proyectos como la robótica.
Okay, and as with anything, there are pros and cons. I've listed a few of them here. Some of you may have some ideas about some things that are positive or negative about this proposal of your own, but I'll go through a few. On the upside, if we repurpose Dr. Garza as a STEAM academy, as a magnet school kind of a concept, we can do so without adding any additional positions, no new full-time equivalents, no new positions, unless we increase our student enrollment. We can provide a specialized instruction so those students who have an aptitude in these areas and a desire to excel in these areas can truly excel and have opportunities they currently do not have in a traditional elementary school setting.
Como todo lo nuevo tiene sus pros y sus contras, entonces los pros de abrir una academia como esta, utilizaría el personal existente, sin personal adicional, a menos de que se inscribieran estudiantes adicionales. También se proporcionaría instrucción muy especializada, retendríamos a los estudiantes existentes, pero también reclutaríamos estudiantes nuevos.
Two other positives we think will happen. We think we have students within our district who would like to attend this type of an elementary school, and so instead of going outside and looking for other choices, we believe we have students who will come right here because of the type of curriculum we'll offer. And we hope that students who have decided in recent years to go elsewhere will take a look at this type of academy, and if it's for them, we can recruit them back into San Benito CISD.
Ayudaríamos a los estudiantes que ya son de nosotros para ofrecerles algo distinto, pero igualmente podríamos traer a los estudiantes que quizás se fueron a otras escuelas, ofreciendo este tipo de modelo de escuela.
On the negative side, anytime you look at repurposing a campus, you lose that neighborhood feel. You have students who attend a campus who may not have a desire to further their studies along the lines of science, technology, et cetera. That may not be their aptitude, their area of interest, and so you lose that kind of neighborhood feel to it in exchange for the advantages of what a STEAM Academy offers. In addition, there would be some costs associated with it. If the board approves this concept, we don't plan on just changing the name and hanging a sign up there that says it's a STEAM Academy. We intend to follow the training and obtain a national STEM certification that will cost us some money. We also plan to provide the supplies for all those hands-on activities that need to be part of a STEAM Academy, some of which are listed there for you. But we have set back some existing funds within the district to be able to do so. So again, if we're going to do it right, we plan to train, we plan to provide the materials, so those activities take place on this campus.
Okay. Y los aspectos negativos de este cambio sería perder la pérdida de la escuela primaria de la comunidad vecina. O sea, ya no serían los niños que viven alrededor necesariamente los que vinieran a esta escuela. Pero también, al mismo tiempo de empezar algo así, se va a empezar con mucha capacitación y con muchos recursos, tales como capacitación nacional especializada, que sería un costo aproximado de $30,000, y aparte suministros como robótica, drones, computadoras, tabletas, etcétera. Y esos son de fondos existentes en el distrito.
Okay, again, we'd be looking at using the existing positions that we have, not having to add any. simply identifying people who want to teach in that type of a structure. We would set the campus up as kinder through 5th grade. And then the proposed timeline, we have a public hearing set for this evening. We have one tomorrow night at LANDRUM Elementary. The board could consider taking action February 13th. By the end of that week, our plan would be to identify then the principal for this campus, and I'll explain that just a little bit. We have a very good principal at Dr. Garza Elementary. I don't know if she's interested in leading a STEAM academy. It's a different approach. It takes a different background, a different desire from a traditional campus. But if Ms. Lambert is interested in that, we have a process. We're going to ask our principals. If they have an interest, they will submit a letter of interest along with a plan of how that STEAM academy would look under their direction. We would then identify the principal who, in our opinion, brings forward the best plan, and then move from there. Identify the office personnel within the district, the assistant principals and counselor. Once we have those key personnel in place, we would determine the admission criteria. And that can range, there are several models out there. That can range from a rubric where we look at student state scores, their grades, their attendance, all the way to other districts that use an entire lottery system. If 1,000 students apply to go here and we have room for 600, it's a strict lottery system. We could also consider students who currently reside in this attendance zone, hold some slots for them. So we have a wide variety we can use to determine admission criteria.
En cuestión de personal, se utilizaría personal existente, sin personal adicional, a menos de que se inscriban estudiantes adicionales. Y esta academia sería de kinder a quinto. Y en cuestión de tiempo, pues están teniendo audiencias públicas como la de hoy. Mañana va a haber otra en la escuela LANDRUM. También va a haber una reunión de la Junta Directiva el 13 de febrero, donde se tomaría una decisión. También se tendría que identificar a un director o directora antes del 16 de febrero. Y esta oportunidad se les está brindando a todos los directores actuales de las primarias. De hecho, la directora Lambert, que está en esta escuela, es muy buena directora, pero se tiene que tomar en cuenta si es algo que a ella le gustaría hacer. Entonces, el doctor Carmen está pidiendo un plan de cada persona interesada para él poder identificar quién sería la directora o director del plantel. También se tendría que identificar al personal de la oficina antes del 2 de marzo. Pero también hay que determinar los criterios de admisión para los estudiantes. Y puede ser a través de grados, a través de resultados de pruebas estatales o de muchos otros factores, pero se tiene que determinar ese criterio. Las inscripciones comenzarían el 26 de marzo y también se identificaría al personal de maestros y el resto del personal antes del 20 de abril.
Okay. Once the criteria is determined, we would plan to begin enrollment in March after spring break, approximately March 26th. As we are doing so, we would then identify the faculty and the remaining staff, ideally by about April 20th. Same thing for teachers. Not every teacher is going to want to teach at a STEAM academy, possibly. Many enjoy traditional elementary, and that's perfectly fine. Those who would like to adhere to the training model and implement the processes for a STEAM academy, we'll have a process for that. But we hope to have that fully staffed, this campus fully staffed by April 20th, so that we are ready to go and open up the doors in the fall.
Okay. Se les va a dar la oportunidad a los maestros que apliquen para estos puestos porque quizás no estén interesados en enseñar en una clase, en un tipo de academia como esta. Pero sí se espera que ya se tenga todo el personal listo para que empiece la academia en el otoño.
All right. The second recommendation is that we repurpose LANDRUM Elementary and repurpose it to become LANDRUM Educational Complex. I indicated earlier the challenges at PRC and at Gateway. Considering the fact, our existing space, considering that we have just over 5,000 students in our 12 elementaries and a capacity of 7,678. We're using about 2/3 of our capacity. It just makes sense to use that space instead of having our students go to school in portables. This campus, for example, will hold about 800 students. I think our current enrollment is around 384. So this campus in particular is only holding about 50% of the number of students that it could hold. At LANDRUM, other positives for that is that we would have little to no cost for setup. If we're going to have some secondary students there instead of elementary, there will be some work that has to take place in the restrooms. That cost is fairly negligible. It would also decrease our utility costs at those portables. It would save us around $60,000 per year in energy consumption. It would also reduce the amount of maintenance that we have on those two campuses, and by combining them into one, we could get to a point where we would be more efficient with our staffing. The potential negative with LANDRUM Elementary would be the loss again of that neighborhood elementary. We have some rezoning options we'll discuss in a minute, but that would be probably the largest negative we would be facing.
La segunda recomendación es abrir un complejo educativo en lo que ahora es la escuela LANDRUM. En estos momentos, en el distrito escolar de San Benito, hay capacidad para 7,678 estudiantes de primaria, pero solamente tenemos 5,048 estudiantes. Entonces hay mucho espacio. De hecho, en la escuela LANDRUM la capacidad es de 800 estudiantes, pero solamente están inscritos un poco más de 300. Entonces, por eso es una propuesta que la escuela LANDRUM se pueda utilizar para que esté en la escuela Gateway y la escuela PRC. Entonces, el costo sería muy bajo porque ya está el edificio. Solamente sería una cuestión de preparación. Un ejemplo sería el reacondicionamiento de los baños. También se disminuirían los gastos de servicios públicos por aproximadamente $60,000 al año. Y lo negativo de esta recomendación, una vez más, sería que se pierde la escuela de la comunidad vecina. O sea, la gente que vive alrededor de LANDRUM.
All right. Before I start talking about some of the specifics regarding potential rezoning, I do want to discuss a little bit about the process that we use to identify which two elementaries we'll be proposing on. When we looked at the logistics, the schools that are around the outermost of our school district, if we consider repurposing those and changing the attendance zones, we're looking at some pretty great distances that we will be adding to our transportation routes. So students would have to be on the buses much longer than they are right now. So we focused more toward the center of our district so that we had neighboring campuses close by, so that the change in distance from one home school to another one would not be that great. That was one area, the location. Second thing we looked at, especially for the STEAM Academy, was the capacity of the campus. Again, this campus holds nearly 800 students if it's at full capacity. That's very attractive if we're trying to build a very new program, an innovative program, trying to attract students into it. Third, we looked at the enrollment of the campuses. This campus is one of a few that's under 400, and again, it's operating at about 50% capacity. And finally, especially in terms of the STEAM Academy, the proximity of this campus to the expressway makes it very appealing. If we are going to be trying to attract parents to bring their students into this building, it's very visible. We can very easily put advertising on the side of the building, informing people what this building will become, and we think it will lend itself well to the great visibility and making it very easy to market.
Uno de los varios factores que se tomaron en cuenta para tomar estas decisiones era el hecho de que el edificio ya tenía capacidad para más estudiantes y no estaba a capacidad. Y otro factor muy importante es que esta escuela, el Dr. Garza, está localizada cerca de la carretera. Entonces eso provee mucha visibilidad de parte de los que vayan manejando cerca de la escuela, entonces eso puede atraer más estudiantes.
Okay, so regarding the rezoning, and as I begin this discussion, please understand a couple of things. This district allows parents to apply for their children to attend elementary schools that they don't reside in. If they don't live in a zone, they can still apply to go to other elementary schools. We're not planning to do away with that. So we will explain to you what the rezoning would look like should the board approve this. But understand that as a parent, if you take your child to another campus, you still have that possibility.
Okay. También se propone una rezonificación elemental, pero el doctor Carmen también quiere expresar que en este distrito, aunque haya zonas específicas para ciertas escuelas, ustedes pueden llevar a sus niños a la escuela que ustedes elijan, pero sí se está planeando una rezonificación nueva.
Okay, so I'm not sure how clear the handouts are. We do have some rezoning maps we printed out fairly large. We put on the side of the cafeteria over here. But as we stand now, this is the zone for Rangerville, La Paloma, La Encantada, Leal, Judge Oscar de la Fuente, Sullivan, Garza, Landrum, Cash, Downs, Frank Roberts. That must be Fred Booth right there. So that's our current zoning structure for our elementary campuses.
Pues no sabemos qué tan claros estén las copias que tienen ustedes, pero él les acaba de explicar más o menos las zonas de las escuelas. Yo no las alcanzo a ver de aquí tampoco, pero son diferentes zonas de color para cada escuela.
Okay, so at Landrum Elementary, the proposal would be, let's see if we can show it here, cutting off at Dick Dowling. This small section right here would be rezoned to go to Sullivan. And the remainder, this long section right here, would just go right next door to Dr. Cash Elementary.
Okay. En esta gráfica pueden ver cómo se va a hacer una división en la calle Dick Dowling y esos niños serían con una nueva zona para la escuela Sullivan y del otro lado del mapa esos estudiantes serían inscritos en la escuela elemental Dr. Cash.
And you can see from these numbers, these are the actual numbers of students currently residing in these areas, 64 and 82 elementary school-age students that attend Landrum Elementary. So we have a high number of students whose parents choose to take them outside of the attendance zone.
Okay. Sí tenemos números, ¿cuántos niños impactaría este cambio? Y por ejemplo serían 64 estudiantes que serían que irían a la escuela Sullivan y 82 estudiantes que irían a la escuela Cash.
Okay, here at Dr. Garza, we would be looking at three sections. This section here where we have the number 55, but I think that's actually 43, including Yost, would be rezoned to attend Judge Oscar de la Fuente. The largest enrolled area right here, with about 205 students this year, would be rezoned, so they would go right next door to Sullivan. And then there's a large area here, but a very small enrollment, and if that area were to continue to grow, students who live in this area would be rezoned, so that their home school would be Leal Elementary.
Y esta es la división nueva, donde indica que, por ejemplo, 43 estudiantes ahora irían a la escuela elemental Judge Oscar de la Fuente, incluyendo la calle Yost, y la mayoría de los estudiantes irían a la escuela Sullivan. Esos serían más de 200 estudiantes, y también algunos estudiantes irían a la escuela Ángela Leal.
At Dr. Cash Elementary, if we're going to be moving some students from Landrum, in order to be able to make sure they have space for these new students, we would cut off a small section here. So we're just going to continue that line right down Dick Dowling, just a straight shot. And this small area right here would be rezoned so that Frank Roberts would be their home elementary.
También va a haber cambios en la zona de Dr. Cash porque vendrían algunos estudiantes de Landrum y también va a haber estudiantes que irían a la escuela Frank Roberts y la división es la calle Dick Dowling.
With Sullivan Elementary, they would maintain the highly populated but small in area part right here, right around the school. And then, of course, they would pick up a large number of students from Dr. Garza as their home campus. But it would really be a very small area, very small amount of busing, short distance to get to the campus. The larger area out here that is not very densely populated, that would then be rezoned and would be able to attend Judge Oscar de la Fuente Elementary.
En cuestión a la escuela Sullivan, serían muy pocos estudiantes que estuvieran ingresando de la escuela Landrum, pero la mayoría de los estudiantes serían cambiados para la escuela Judge Oscar de la Fuente. Right? They're moving to Judge Oscar. Okay.
Yes, this group right here.
Y la área más pequeña es la que sigue siendo los niños que pertenecen a la escuela Sullivan.
Okay, so as we kind of pull these attendance zones out a little bit, we move some students into Judge Oscar de la Fuente Elementary School. It makes sense to make sure they have the space. And so this section right here, that's very close to La Paloma Elementary and used to be part of the attendance zone for La Paloma Elementary, the recommendation would be that we save these students a significant amount of time on the school bus and rezone them back into La Paloma Elementary.
Y en cuestión de la escuela Judge Oscar de la Fuente, hay un pequeño grupo de estudiantes que antes asistían a la escuela La Paloma, y ese sería el grupo pequeño que se volvería a cambiar a la escuela La Paloma.
Okay, so here's how this would kind of look if the proposal were to go through. Sullivan Elementary would maintain the area right around the elementary school that it currently has. And then this area here, primarily this highly populated area that goes to Garza right now, will go to Sullivan. So the distance is not far. And then this small section from Landrum, again, it's a very easy transportation route to get our students over here to Sullivan. But this is what the proposed boundaries would look like for Sullivan Elementary.
Y esas serían las rutas de transporte para la escuela Sullivan, y está demostrando que son pequeños cambios y que como quiera es posible el transporte.
Oscar de la Fuente would lose this area down by La Paloma. It would pick up a large area that does not have very many families in it yet that currently goes to Sullivan, and then this small area right here from Dr. Garza Elementary would go right here to Oscar de la Fuente Elementary.
Y el color azul representa la escuela Judge Oscar de la Fuente y está representando los estudiantes que vendrían de Landrum, que es del color azul bajito. Y where's the yellow? What's the yellow?
That is currently Sullivan.
Okay.
Right
Y
up here.
el color amarillo representa los niños que vendrían de la escuela Sullivan.
The Dr. Cash attendance zone would make a whole lot of sense right here, straight across Uptick Dowling. Its current area is this kind of orange color, and then this is the portion right next door in green that is currently zoned to Landrum. Again, the majority, you can tell by the number of streets here, the majority of our students live in this area. Very easy to transport our students, very close by, right to Dr. Cash.
Y esta sería la zona de la escuela Dr. Cash, y los estudiantes que se agregarían, o la zona que se agregaría en color verde, serían los estudiantes que vendrían de la escuela Landrum hacia la escuela Dr. Cash.
Frank Roberts doesn't change much, but it does pick up this small area right here that is currently zoned to Dr. Cash Elementary. It's attached right to it. Again, as far as transportation, it's very close by. So logistically speaking, makes a lot of sense to transport them very close by to Frank Roberts.
Para la escuela Frank Roberts, la nueva zona incluiría una pequeña zona que vendría de Dr. Cash, que es lo que ven en color rosa.
And then out in La Paloma, this area that used to go to La Paloma Elementary, if approved, it just makes sense. This part goes together. very close to La Paloma. The amount of time the students are spending on the bus has decreased. And again, these students would just return to La Paloma as they were a few years ago.
Okay. Entonces ahora esta es la nueva zona de la Escuela La Paloma, pero incluye el pequeño cambio que en un tiempo también venían a La Paloma. Entonces simplemente regresan a la zona anterior.
Leal Elementary remains the same in orange that it currently has. And again, we'll pick up this section from Dr. Garza Elementary that has a fair-sized area, but not very many people living in it right now.
Y esta representa la zona de la Escuela Ángela Leal, y la zona verde representa una pequeña zona que ahora pertenece a Dr. Garza, pero que a pesar de que se ve como que es una zona grande, no está muy poblada.
Okay, so then the third proposal that I presented to our building committee was in regards to our high school campus. We had discussed whether 10th grade would fit better where it currently is at the San Benito High School campus, or whether it made sense to move it over to our VMA campus. And after much debate, much consideration, the proposal that I made to the board was that we retain the 10th grade students at San Benito High School as they currently are. Again, the major area of concern is our passing periods, our hallways, but proposed opening an early college academy in a pod at VMA. We have a number of empty classrooms at VMA. There's a lot of space to be innovative there. So the recommendation again would be to use a full pod and set it up as an early college academy, strictly dual credit courses for our 10th through 12th grade students.
Y la tercera recomendación es basada en la encuesta y los comentarios respecto a si se cambiaba el 10º grado para VMA o no, y como no hubo mucho apoyo de ese cambio, entonces lo que ahora se propone es utilizar un pod o un área de VMA para desarrollar o empezar una academia de colegio que incluiría la oportunidad para que los estudiantes obtuvieran crédito de colegio.
So the idea would be we would recruit between 100 and 150 students per grade level, starting with 10th grade, then as they become juniors, then as they become seniors. And the intent would be that by attending this early college academy, staffed through one of our university partners, by the time they finish high school, they would graduate with their 42 core hours completed towards their college degree. We're not advocating for an associate's degree in any particular area. Students, when they enter this at 15 years old, many times don't know what their major may be or the work they want to choose down the road. But if they're college bound, every one of them needs those core hours towards their college diploma.
Entonces la idea con esta academia de colegio sería reclutar de unos 300 a 450 estudiantes. No, perdón. I'm saying the 300, but that's not the number of students for the academy. Right? How many students?
Between 100 and 150 per grade level, okay. So 10th, 11th, 12th, by the time it's complete, okay. Between 300 to 450.
Como 150 estudiantes por año de 10º, 11º y 12º, y la idea es que logren obtener 42 créditos de colegio sin que necesariamente obtengan ningún título, simplemente serían de cursos básicos y de crédito de colegio para que ellos puedan continuar sus estudios.
So another advantage would be like a collegiate atmosphere for these students. So they are there, they take their dual credit courses towards the beginning of the day and the end of the day. They can still take their elective courses, their career and tech courses. If they're in athletics, cheerleading, they can still participate in everything associated with being a high school student. But during that part of the time of the day, it's just like entering onto a small college campus. They go there, they earn their college credit, we hope they're successful. And a caveat of this, kind of one other bonus would be if we time it correctly, during the middle of the day, we could add a separate lunch at VMA, alleviate some of the overcrowding at our high school, by removing 300 to 400 students or so, and still kind of build that collegiate feel for these students. They're working toward their college degree, they take classes together, they have lunch together, and then they go their separate ways to their respective electives or extracurricular activities.
Entonces, estos estudiantes que participarían en esta academia estudiarán por parte del día sus clases de doble crédito, pero también tendrán la oportunidad de participar en las otras actividades de la escuela, tales como deportes, y al mismo tiempo, como se están reclutando estudiantes también del high school, eso podría incrementar el número de estudiantes en VMA, pero se podría agregar otro periodo de comida donde pudieran estar 300 a 400 estudiantes comiendo a la vez.
A couple of negatives we have to address. It could add to our transportation routes during the school day. We have a number of routes running between the high school and VMA, and depending on the activities these students are enrolled in, to ensure they're still able to participate, it may add a couple of routes, not a great number, but it could add a few to it. Additionally, we want to make sure that we staff it with, whether we call it an assistant principal, a dean, an administrator over that pod, and then a counselor to ensure that those students' schedules are working out so that they're working toward their career pathway, that they're earning the credits they need both for graduation and for their 42 core hours of college credit.
Los contras de esta propuesta serían rutas de transporte adicionales dependiendo en las actividades de los estudiantes, porque los transportan del high school a VMA y viceversa. También otra cuestión sería que para esta academia se agregaría un subdirector y un consejero o consejera para la academia, o sea que sería personal adicional.
And I wanted to be clear because we'd had a lot of conversation, excuse me, about whether or not we need to put 10th grade students over at the VMA campus. At this point in time, that is not what I'm recommending to our board. On the upside, if we chose to do that, again, we'd have adequate space for our students. We would have more of our 9-12 students in the newer building, VMA, which is much newer than our 40-year-old high school. But there were some serious downsides to it that have led me to not make this a recommendation today. Major staffing moves. It would involve moving 28 teachers between the two campuses so that the core 10th grade courses were taught at VMA, and some of the upper level career and tech courses that are housed at VMA would then be moved to San Benito High School. That's a lot to do. It's a lot to move. The extracurricular activities, we don't have the space at VMA currently to be able to house our athletes or our band students. So either we bus hundreds of other students back and forth on top of what we're already doing, or we add on to the facilities, and we're talking in the millions of dollars to do that. Cafeteria, if we're going to go from 750 to 800 students per year at VMA to 1,500 to 1,600 per year, then we're going to have to add on probably to our cafeteria space. And so in my opinion, we're just taking the problem from San Benito High School, where we're a little crowded, and we're making the same problem over at VMA. Additionally, some of our high school students noted that 10th grade students, if they stay at the younger campus one more year, would lose some of that high school experience. That was straight from some of our high school students. I thought it was very insightful. So at this time, I am not making the recommendation to make VMA a 9th and 10th grade campus. Should I be wrong, and should San Benito High School stay as crowded as it is certainly something we can consider in the future. Just going in with our eyes open that we need to budget for some things and take care of some items if we choose to do so.
Otro tema que se había estado contemplando era el cambio de los estudiantes de 10º grado a la escuela VMA, que ahorita no es una recomendación que esté haciendo el doctor Carmen. Haber hecho ese cambio sí hubiera proporcionado el espacio adecuado para estudiantes de 9 a 12, pero también aumentaría el número de estudiantes de high school en edificios más nuevos. Pero aparte había varios detalles que que serían más bien unas desventajas, porque tendría que haber un movimiento de aproximadamente 28 empleados y también no habría cupo para todas las actividades extracurriculares de los estudiantes, porque unos estuvieran en una escuela y otros en otra. Y también se necesitaría más fondos para una cafetería más grande, para más espacio. Entonces, lo que el doctor Carmen explica es que si de hecho se consideraba que el high school estaba sobrepoblado, iba solamente a cambiar los problemas del high school a la escuela VMA. Y por último, una también de las desventajas de ese cambio sería que se perdiera la experiencia de high school al cambiar a los estudiantes para VMA. Esto es algo que se puede considerar en el futuro, pero no es una recomendación que él esté haciendo en este momento.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. All right, at this time, we are going to transition and get the board members back up on the stage. Each of them will have the opportunity to address you briefly, and then each of you, if you have questions you would like answered, we'll use the microphones. We will also translate the questions and the answers so that all who made the effort to come up here this evening can hear and understand what we're discussing.
Okay, en este momento regresan los miembros de la mesa directiva a sus respectivos lugares para darles oportunidad que hagan sus preguntas, y si alguien necesita que yo les traduzca, con mucho gusto yo les puedo traducir su pregunta, incluso la respuesta de ellos.
Okay, so you just heard a lot of information from Dr. Carmen, exactly everything that was presented to the building committee of the school board last week or a couple of days ago. There's a lot of information, so hopefully that gave you a chance to kind of inform you about the questions you may ask, some of the questions that you had before that, maybe some were answered, but now we're going to have the opportunity for you to ask questions.
El doctor Carmen les acaba de explicar muchas cosas que se han estado platicando estas últimas semanas. Esperamos que con esta presentación y con esta propuesta quizás hayan recibido respuestas a dudas o preguntas que hayan tenido, pero igualmente ahorita se les da la oportunidad de hacer preguntas.
And so before we start with questions, I am going to iterate, please make sure that we are answering those questions, so make sure that we are being constructive. Make sure that there aren't any attacks on any individuals or the school board. Just keep things positive, and we'll do our best to have a very fruitful and a very constructive conversation.
Les damos la oportunidad que hagan sus preguntas, pero sí les pedimos que no sea un ataque a la mesa directiva o al distrito, simplemente que sea algo positivo y constructivo para responder a sus preguntas.
All right. So in terms of questions, we're going to have about 1 minute for question and then about 2 minutes to answer. Whomever up here wants to take the question, either myself or Dr. Carmen or any other board member. So it'll be a 1 minute question and then again 2 minutes for the answer.
Va a haber 1 minuto para la pregunta y 2 minutos para la respuesta, ya sea del Dr. Carmen o de algún miembro de la mesa directiva.
Okay, so whoever wants to come up to the mic, if you have a question, we have a mic in front. So if there are multiple people, make sure that you are lining up to give those questions.
¿A alguien le gustaría pasar a hacer la primera pregunta? Y si hay más de una, pueden hacer fila y empezar las preguntas.
When you come up, please state your full name, students, if you have them in the building.
Por favor, díganos su nombre y estudiantes, el nombre de sus hijos o sus niños.
Do I have to?
Ah,
My name's Andrea Gonzalez, and I have Angelina Vargas and Andy Vargas. They're 4th and 5th.
Can you come closer to the mic, please?
You don't want me to say the names again, right? No. I have a 4th and a 5th grader here. And they're Andy Vargas, Angelina Vargas. One of my concerns was what happened to, the thing is that I feel that this is cherry picking. We're going to cherry pick our kids who qualify to come here, right?
So the criteria has not yet been set. One option is to look at students' performance, both on their state assessments, their academics, their attendance. Other models include, like I said, a full lottery system. So if we have 600 spots, 1,000 students apply, it's a straight lottery. How we will determine what students attend here has not been decided yet, and we would not decide that until we have, make sure we have our administrative staff for this campus on board so they would have input on that.
Okay, who does the zoning? That's another question I have.
The zoning, okay. Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. The zoning?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. We, as administrative staff, we sat down with our transportation department. We looked at what the routes would do if we changed the zoning and tried to do logistically what made the most sense in terms of how far we were transporting our students.
Okay, but the zoning, if this school you said has a capacity of 800 students, why did we have such a small zoning area?
Are you talking about when the school opened years ago?
Well, you showed us the zoning that we had, and it's a small area versus all the other schools. But if this had a capacity of 800 students, like you said, why did we have such a small area? Because my oldest son came here when this school opened.
Right.
And, I mean, I want to say, like you said in the chart, the numbers were high. So why is there such a small zoning area? And that's my question, who does the zoning? So it's you guys?
Ultimately, the board has to approve the zoning. So the current zoning, I think, is what you're asking about for Dr. Garza, why it's so small. Okay. When this school opened, I would assume that the administration made a recommendation to the school board based on where the students were living and determined that area would make the most sense. Since then, new schools have opened, I think, and some of the zoning has changed. So Angela Leal, for example, would have opened and probably taken some of the previous attendance zone. I'm not sure if Oscar de la Fuente maybe took some of the attendance zone from what used to be Dr. Garza as well. But that's been a process that has taken place over a number of years, ma'am.
Another one of my questions was, why not try this just because you want to try it, right? Why not try it in a school that supposedly has big numbers in students and academics? I mean, basically, you'll have it all there, the smart students, because that's basically because you were applying for it. So you're saying that, because that's what it's going to boil down to. It sounds like if it's an idea school, kind of. So what happens to the kids that can't or don't qualify?
Okay, so I think you have more than one question there. I'm going to try to address all of them. The reason we did not look at opening this type of an academy in a campus where we already have a high enrollment, if you remember what we started with, we want to retain and attract new students into our school district. So if we chose a campus that was at 95% capacity, we don't have much room to grow. So that's one reason. Additionally, you would be rezoning, if we looked at a magnet approach, you'd be rezoning a much higher number of students.
So why not do what you want to do at LANDRUM since it's an old school and push those kids over here? Wouldn't the numbers go higher?
Yes, ma'am. They would go higher initially, but if the trend continues and we continue to have traditional schools and our parents want to take their students, use their choice and take their students to other schools, I believe simply closing down elementaries, we're going to continue that process. We're going to continue to lose students and we're going to continue to close. So what we're trying to do is combat that with a campus that provides a different type of education for some of our students.
Yeah, so I think the point here is that we're going to if we keep rezoning, that's not going to solve our problems. We're still going to keep losing students. So we're just shuffling kids around.
Okay.
So in order to avoid rezoning again and again, we want to think of something new, which is what we're doing in terms of the STEAM Academy, to bring on board new students from the outside. Because there are parents already that are interested, that are outside of the district, who have already showed interest in this school. So this is how we're trying to solve our enrollment issue. Because at the end of the day, I think if we keep losing students, we're not going to talk about opening up a STEAM Academy. We're actually going to talk about closing schools and losing jobs. And as a board, we do not want that. So this is why we're trying to be proactive. The district has never done this in its history. So we want to make sure that we bring proactive about losing more students as opposed to gaining more students and maybe opening up even more schools.
Okay, but have you thought about what if parents don't want to send their kids to Sullivan? Or, because you zoned it again, I fall in Sullivan. I don't like Sullivan. And what if I refuse? Then what? So you're letting me choose a school that I want for my kid then?
Yeah.
Am I able to go anywhere?
Yeah.
Yes. As I stated, we are not going to change the process for parents to apply to our other campuses. So if you are rezoned to where Sullivan is your home campus, but you want to apply to take your child to Cache, for example, you can still do that. You can do that today. If you remember the map where I showed the number of students, 140 or so, that actually live in Landrum and go to Landrum, it's because those parents have made choices either to take their students elsewhere or to bring their kids onto that campus. So that process will not change.
But when did it really stop? Because as I recall, parents weren't able, they would say, oh, no, you can't go here because you don't live around here.
Yeah, that was a rule in the past. Now it's an open enrollment district, so you're allowed to go to any school if you apply to that. We have a couple ladies standing behind you, so we're going to give them an opportunity to ask a question.
No, by the way, parents, I just want to say that also I believe that, which is another matter, another fight, because I don't think they have anything to do with it, but I think the reason we lose so many kids is because of the leaders that we have in our city. People don't want to live here anymore. And you wonder why. Like, seriously. That's where our kids are going. Because ideas, honestly, I know parents that are leaving ideas because they're failing their kids academically. Mentally, yeah, they prepare them, but academically, they're failing them. So I have a feeling that kids will be coming back to the public schools.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So in election day, remember.
Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, make sure to state your name and the students you have in the school.
Good afternoon. My name is Judith Resendes. I have 3 children here in Dr. de la Garza. My first daughter is Chaneli Resendes. She's a 4th grader. I have Janae Resendes. She's my 1st grader. And my son, he's Jorge Resendes, and he's a pre-kinder. As my understanding, I did understand that for the STEAM Academy, it's going to be from kinder to 5th grade, correct? Now, my question is, where does a special child need stand when it comes to a special academy? The STEAM Academy, I'm sorry. I have a child that she's a special need, which is Janae Resendes. Where does she stand in this STEAM Academy? Is she going to be able to apply, or she's going to automatically be out of the STEAM Academy?
No, ma'am. Every student can apply to attend. And if we have a special needs student who can attend and be successful in the STEAM Academy with accommodations or modifications per their IEP, then they'd be welcome to attend this academy or any other academy we might consider down the road.
Is there any academy or plannings that y'all have already in consideration regarding a special child in the STEAM Academy? Have y'all thought about them? And The reason I'm asking is because I'm sure I'm not the only parent that has a special child in Dr. De La Garza. And we want to know, I'm guessing, we want to know where our special child needs stand here in Dr. De La Garza, or actually in the new STEAM Academy.
Okay, so no, we're not going to develop any separate academy for special needs students. They're integrated into all of our campuses. And again, if that child has an interest in science, technology, engineering, the fine arts, or mathematics, regardless of how they qualify for special needs, they would be able to apply and be considered for enrollment in this academy or in any other academy or any campus district-wide. We have to provide the accommodations, modifications for that child to be able to be successful, regardless of the campus they attend.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Do you want me to?
We're going to go ahead and translate that last question and answer.
Esta última pregunta era respecto a los estudiantes de educación especial y la señora Reséndez preguntaba que cuál sería el cupo para su niña o su niño en esta academia, y las respuestas fueron que va a haber un criterio especial para los estudiantes para que apliquen a esta academia, y así como se les da la oportunidad de estar en cualquier escuela del distrito, si tienen los requisitos para pertenecer a esta academia y si lo indica su plan individual educativo, entonces sí tendrían la oportunidad de participar.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada.
Hello, my name is Santa Garcia. I'm sorry I don't use a microphone. I have a loud voice. My daughter is Michaela.
If you can use the mic, because we're actually recording it. So
Michaela Garcia.
Thank you.
And my understanding is like an IDEA proposal, right? IDEA has a high academic to be enrolled there. I asked questions before coming here, and it's their technology, it's above our technology. So you said, okay, we can fill an application and my child maybe will be enrolled here, but my child has a special need too. So say you meet the 1,000 enrolled, okay? And then you do the lottery like IDEA does, and they celebrate when they pick up their child. What about mine don't make it? Mine doesn't belong here. She's not zoned to this school, but I love this school. This school, it's awesome. So where does my child stand? And yes, your proposal is because Dr. Garza, it's you are the road that it would be best to have it here, okay? My other question to parents was, why do you take your child to IDEA? One was that when Ed Downs was a GT school, right, it was good. But then they decided, the kids did not, they were isolated, so they made everybody to have GT. They said, my child got lost in the system. Okay, by the time one child needed to catch up to the other one, my child was lost. That's one reason. Other reason is, okay, only 69 kids are graduating from high school from IDEA compared to 600 and something at high school. It's about safety proposals. So it's a different criteria we're talking about here. But that's my question. You rezone everything again, but if I don't choose to take my child somewhere else, where does my child stand? You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, it's great what you're proposing, it's great for the district to bring more kids in, but I think it's a whole different picture that we need to look at it, because that's what they said. Their technology, their academics, we cannot compete with IDEA. Yes, we can, I'm sorry, we can compete, but they choose the most intelligent kids to be there. With us, we have a no child behind policy. That's what I want to know.
So, yeah, Mr. Mendez.
Okay, can you hear me? Thank you very much for that comment. I too am a believer that all children can learn, and just putting them onto the expectations. And I believe that this academy, the way that it's laid out, it's not so much to select the brightest and the kids that are going to be at the top 10 or whatnot. It is important to understand that we are trying to educate the masses, and unfortunately, it is times like this that we have to make those decisions for the betterment of our community and of course, all of y'all. It's difficult. I understand what you're saying. It is very difficult to say, well, why didn't my child not get selected or whatnot? Keep in mind, this facility can house 800 students. 800 students. So in essence, if the demand is there, rest assured that the board members will push to continue increasing the numbers here. Now, if it's successful here, the hope is to duplicate the same model at another school and continue to build it. And it's not so much about competing with one specific organization. It's about making sure that every child in our district is successful to do and meet the next level of our education.
Okay. La pregunta también tenía que ver respecto a los estudiantes de educación especial en cuestión a otras escuelas que quizás tengan mucho equipo de tecnología y que ella, la señora García, por ejemplo, dice que ella le gusta mucho esta escuela y quisiera que su hijo viniera aquí. Entonces, el señor Méndez le responde que este es un principio para el distrito, que quizás este STEAM Academy sea un principio que se pueda replicar, porque tenemos que empezar de alguna manera, y este es solamente ese comienzo.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Hello.
Hello, my name is Leticia Garcia. I have, two daughters that were the first Raul Garza elementary students when it started. And now I have grandchildren that are starting this school. Their names are Nicole Calvillo and Nathaniel Garcia. One is in pre-K and the other one is a third grader. My children, my personal children, they graduated with honors. And their foundations were here in Raul Garza. So I believe that anybody can learn, anybody can do good. The thing is, I feel that it's going to be a lot of pressure for the kids to think that they have to be better so that they can pass the test to be in this school. Also, another question is, are you going to allow other districts to come into San Benito and join this school? That's one of my questions.
So your last question is, are we going to invite?
Are you going to allow other students? You say that you've been losing students. Yes, you've been losing students because you allow them to go to IDEA and you allow them to switch schools. If you were to keep your students not allowed to be transferring to schools, you would keep students. And if you are allowing this school here to let other people in, other Brownsville, Harlingen, La Feria, what does that mean for us as taxpayers? What does that mean for my property taxes?
Good question. And unfortunately, we don't make those rules. It's the legislature at the state of Texas. Unfortunately, this, not only is San Benito at risk of losing students, it's the nation. It's the trends of education nowadays. So in essence, we can continue advocating for public education and hopes to increase our enrollment locally. But in reality, that's really out of our hands at this point. What we as board members are trying to do is we're trying to be innovative on creating new ideas and new methods to attract more students into our district. And yes,
what area?
In all different areas, in academics and the extracurricular activities and whatnot. It is important that a child gets a well-rounded education. And you're absolutely right. You have charter schools that come out and preach so many different things and success and whatnot. Rest assured, public education is at the same level, if not higher. Yeah. If you go back 10, 20, 30 years, charter schools were very minimal. But if you ask your doctor, your physician, your lawyer, your teacher, they came out of public education.
Exactly.
So in essence, it's putting that bar and expectation for all of our kids. We we want our kids to come back. We definitely want our kids to make sure that, that they have a successful education in San Benito. And what we're trying to do is, yes, we want to get Brownsville kids, Los Fresnos kids, Harlingen's kids, every child that wants to take the opportunity and get a good education in San Benito, we want to give it to them.
And I think I'll add one other thing is one thing we haven't talked about, which is a long ways from now from your child right now, but that's the workforce. For them to be workforce ready, to be ready to take on those new jobs that are being taken by a lot of international students because of the training that they've received throughout the public education system. San Benito has one of the best career and technology programs in the valley, even the state maybe. But we only have that right now at the high school. Think about what we can do if we start them at the elementary level, which is what we're trying to do right now. STEAM is the science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. If we can start with that workforce readiness and that training at a very young age, if we're already making them successful only at the high school, think about what's going to happen when we start training them at kindergarten, at first grade, start thinking about things like that.
I agree, but I also am very concerned because I live in this neighborhood and I also pay a lot of taxes, school taxes. Why am I going to be paying taxes for Brownsville, La Feria, Westlaco? What does that do for us?
Well, and if we're talking finances, we love your taxes, so thank you. But if we bring other students, so when we lose students, we lose a lot of money. It's called average daily attendance. Our state, when we receive money on a daily or weekly or monthly basis, that is judged on the number of on the attendance. So if parents didn't already know, if you don't send your school that day, we get docked on attendance, actually. But to answer your question, if we're bringing more students in, that means more money for the district, more ADA, which is average daily attendance money, which the state will give us. So if we're taking 10 kids from Harlingen and 10 from Brownsville, that money is no longer going to go to them. It's going to come to San Benito.
Well, is it about the money or about the students?
Well, at the end of the day, and this
It's
is
about money.
well, at the end of the day, like I mentioned, we're having this conversation because we're losing kids. And which means if we're losing kids and we don't do anything about it right now, we're going to lose teachers, we're going to lose principals, we're going to lose our auxiliary staff, and we don't want that to happen. So at the end of the day, when you say it's about money, at the end of the day, it's about kids. If we don't have schools in our community to educate the kids, we need the money to keep the buildings running. We need the money to have teachers educating our students. We need the money to train principals. So it's a little of both. It's a very complex issue, and I'm glad you brought that question up because it's a really important one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll have Dr. Quesada
Sí.
translate.
Permítanme traducir esta pregunta también de la señora García, porque la pregunta de ella era que si íbamos a aceptar estudiantes de otros distritos, por ejemplo, Brownsville, La Feria, Harlingen. Y la respuesta fue del señor Méndez, que por ejemplo el distrito de San Benito tiene un programa fenomenal en high school que es de Career and Technology, que es preparación para los estudiantes para carreras futuras y en tecnología. Y así como es un programa fenomenal en high school, queremos empezar desde la primaria. Queremos empezar a preparar a nuestros estudiantes para, como dice el señor Vargas, para cuando entren al mundo del empleo, para prepararlos para un futuro. Entonces también la señora García dice, pero es que yo pago impuestos. ¿Qué significa eso para mí si yo pago impuestos y yo permito que otras personas vengan? El señor Vargas le explica que en un distrito escolar nosotros recibimos fondos monetarios a través de cada estudiante y por cada estudiante. Entonces, si ahorita estamos tratando de hacer algo para disminuir el hecho de que los estudiantes se vayan a otras escuelas, al permitir que ingresen estudiantes de Brownsville, de Harlingen, de Los Fresnos, para nosotros significa tener más estudiantes y entonces recibimos más fondos monetarios. Al fin del día, lo que nosotros queremos hacer es educar estudiantes y los estudiantes de San Benito. Al perder estudiantes, no nada más se pierde el dinero que recibe ese estudiante, se pierden empleos, se pierden puestos de maestra, se pierden directores, se pierde personal auxiliar. Entonces, esto es algo que se está tomando en cuenta del punto de vista del estudiante, pero también de los empleos de los que trabajamos en el distrito escolar.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Hello.
Hi, my name is Monica de la Fuente. I have a kindergartner, Eva de la Fuente, and a fifth grader, Mia de la Fuente. She's a true testament of what the staff is capable of. I took notes, but I think some of my questions were answered already. I think I just want clarification on how Dr. Garza was chosen. I know you mentioned enrollment, but where exactly did we land? Because I think at the end I heard more, it's off the expressway and we get to market it and we'll be able to get, attention from other districts and so forth. I kind of want to know where Dr. Garza actually stood in terms of the enrollment, since I was part of the process.
Yes, ma'am. There were 4 key criteria we looked at. One was the logistics. If we're going to move students, we need schools close by. And of course, Garza met that criteria, as did several others. Second was the capacity. If we're going to open up an academy and we expect that we'll have a high response to that academy, we wanted a school with a large capacity. Dr. Garza fits that because it holds almost 800 students. We also looked at the current enrollment compared to its capacity. Dr. Garza, with about 384 students, is only about half full. So it's not being used up to. We're paying to air condition and turn the lights on for a building that has a capacity of 800 kids, but we only have 384 in it. And then the last one, the location, yes ma'am, the ability to market being close by to the expressway.
I think another question I also have is, I'm hearing a lot of, we're hoping, you even mentioned that this is the first time the district has ever done this. It's not actually a guarantee that the enrollment will be there. We're just hoping, and hoping that people are going to want to bring them here, because it's a charter school or it's a magnet school, but it's still not a guarantee. We have the students here. I think somebody mentioned it earlier and I know rezoning isn't going to fix the problem, but you kind of control the enrollment when you do the rezoning. So why not invest in the school that we do have? These people are here because we love this school. Sorry. Here's the thing. My daughters are smart, and I might be a little biased, so I'm not worried about STEM, them being able to go, but the reason I bring them here is because there's not one single staff member that doesn't know their name. There's not one, I don't mean to get emotional, sorry. It's just, that's the experience I want my kids to have. Their child's they're gonna grow, they're gonna succeed because of what we do as parents and what we contribute, but this staff is their family away from us. They spend the majority of their time here with this staff. So I came in here with an open mind. I really did. I think it's great. It's great that y'all gave us a voice and you're allowing us to be part of this process. But it's still very hard for me to think that it's not going to be here and the staff won't be here. Because you can look at my daughters, my fifth graders, she's a true testament of what this staff is capable of. Sorry.
Thank you.
You bring a good point, and our district is working in that direction to realize that the schools around our communities is an extension of our family. Our kids are in schools from 7 o'clock all the way to 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So definitely, I am in tune with what you're going through. It's every day that we have those discussions about how can we make sure that the parents are welcome, how can we embrace them and have those conversations about knowing the child's name, knowing the parent's name, and vice versa. That is very important. And those are the things that the board is actually working towards with the entire district in San Benito. So the way that you feel here, expect that in the other school. If you choose to go to another school, expect that from that other school as well, because that's what we're fighting for as well.
But it's already here and it's not guaranteed. I think that's my biggest thing, that we're going into a magnet school and it's not guaranteed that the enrollment will be there. We're taking a gamble when we already have an amazing school and amazing staff, and it seems like there's so much shifts, and I can't begin to imagine what y'all have to go through in trying to figure it out, but, you know, this is just me as a parent.
Sure.
Giving my, I guess it's more of a statement than a question.
Thank you. Thank you for those comments.
Let me just address one of the points that you brought up, ma'am. And I certainly appreciate you bringing that emotion into what's happening here, and I get that. When I began this process with the school board, I informed them that the challenge would be the emotional tie to any elementary that we consider repurposing. It's just going to be. You mentioned that we're hoping that it works here, and that's correct. We can also look to other districts where it has been successful. Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex has several examples where they face the exact same challenges. Charter schools came in, Houston area, same thing. Charter schools came in, students and their parents had choices. They began choosing not to attend their public schools because they wanted something different than that traditional experience. So our hope is, by bringing this type of a campus to San Benito and by adding that choice, that we follow those models of many districts across this state and get students back into our building. I'm not arguing. Dr. Garza is a wonderful place to be. The staff is very welcoming. Ms. Lambert's a wonderful principal. I'm not questioning one bit of that. The point is, this building is at half capacity. And if we continue the way we're going, at some point, this district, this board will be looking at closing down buildings. Our efforts right now are to try to stop that. And again, from day one with this board, I told them this part of it would not be the easy part. No one likes change. Families that love their school, it's heartbreaking. I get that part of it. And certainly we take that into consideration, and the board will take that into consideration when they consider this proposal. But thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Quesada.
Okay. La pregunta de la señora de la Fuente era respecto a cómo fue seleccionada esta escuela para esta academia. Entonces el doctor Carmen explica que fueron varias cosas que se tomaron en cuenta, y una de las cosas fue la lógica, o sea, la cercanía de la escuela a otras escuelas para que los niños se pudieran rezonificar, también la capacidad del plantel, que no está ni siquiera a la mitad de lo que debe de estar de asistencia, y también la localidad de la escuela. Pero también le explican a la señora de la Fuente que desde un principio sí se pensó que iba a entrar la cuestión emocional al hacer cambios, porque están apegados a la escuela. Y así como la señora de la Fuente dice, es que aquí todos los maestros saben el nombre de mi niña y todos los maestros la conocen, se le explica a la señora de la Fuente que ese es la meta para este distrito, que en todas las escuelas reciban el mismo trato, pero que también tenemos el reto de que los padres de familia pueden escoger a qué escuela quieren llevar a sus niños, y así como están yendo a otras escuelas, no nada más San Benito tiene ese reto, lo tienen otros distritos. Entonces no es una garantía, pero sí es algo que se ha visto en otros distritos, que al implementar algo así quizá pueda disminuir los estudiantes que se están yendo del distrito.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Next.
My name is Maribel De La Rosa. I have 3 kids, 2 attend Dr. Cash and 1 attends Dr. Garza. He's with the PPCD unit. So my main concern is what's going to happen to them? Because if this school does go through, are you guys going to move them as a unit? Are you going to move them with the teacher's assistants? Because I know for my son and the kids in his classroom, to transition them into a new routine, to new teachers, to new staff, to a new school, it's going to be very difficult. So what's going to happen to them? I mean, for kids in pre-K to fifth grade, yes, it's easy to, move them to a new school. They're used to moving from grade to grade, new teachers, new students, okay. But them, they've been in the same classroom with the same teachers. What happens to them?
Por mientras ellos preparan la respuesta, permítame traducir la pregunta que la señora de la Rosa hace, y es respecto a las unidades de educación especial que se llaman PPCD, que siempre están con la misma maestra en el mismo salón, y que no es lo mismo para un estudiante que cambia de maestra cada año a ellos que están con la misma maestra y en el mismo salón cada año. Okay?
So if I got the whole question, that you're asking about the special units like PPCD, if we move them, are we going to keep those groups together? Was that the gist of the question?
Yeah,
Okay.
Are you guys going to keep them together as a unit? Because I know not all the schools have the same unit. I mean, I know there's different behavior. I know they have the behavior unit, and then for the ones for autistic kids and Down syndrome, I know they keep them usually together. So, are you going to move them with the same TAs, or are you guys going to just disperse them like you guys did with the rezoning and stuff like that, or?
God, I couldn't hear everything you're saying, but I think I got it now. If we move an entire unit, like PPCD, we would move the entire unit, as in the teacher, the TA, the students who attend it. But it's also possible we would maintain that unit here. That hasn't been decided yet.
Okay.
So it's entirely possible that unit would still exist here. Your students would still come here, the same teacher, the same classroom, the same TA. But if we chose to move it, we would move it as a unit.
Okay, so even though this school would become the STEM school, the PPCD will still stay here then, or it's just up in the air?
Right, so at every one of our elementary schools, whether we deem it to be a STEAM academy, a fine arts academy, it's a traditional campus, we still provide special ed services. So we could determine that based on the capacity that we choose to keep a unit here. It doesn't mean that we had to exclude those kids, so that's not...
No, my concern isn't if he's going to attend, per se, if he's going to qualify to come to the STEM Academy.
Right.
My thing is if you guys aren't going to have a special needs unit here at Dr. Garza, is that classroom going to be, or that unit going to be moved as a whole? Because there's only like 7 students in the PPCD class. So are you guys going to move them, say, to Sullivan or to Oscar de la Fuente? Are you guys going to move them, or are they just going to go to another unit within the school district?
No, so if, and decision has not been made, if we don't leave that unit here, because we could leave that unit here, if we move the unit, we would move the full unit, including the students.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay. Y la respuesta a la pregunta si se... La respuesta a la pregunta si se cambiaría la unidad completa con maestra y con auxiliar, la respuesta es que sí. No se ha decidido dónde permanecería ese salón, pero al decidirse y al moverse sí se movería con maestra y con auxiliar y con los mismos estudiantes.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Hello.
How you doing? I just have one question.
Yeah, can you state your name, please, and your
Adrian
students?
Almazan. I just have one question. I'm probably upset, but I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm actually from Portland, Oregon, right? I moved over there and I came down here, right? And I actually got a house here in San Bernardino and right here by Sam Houston. Actually, it's not part of this zone, right? So when I took my kid to their zone, they told me he didn't qualify because he was a special needs student. So after that, I went to the other school and I asked the same question. And they were like, well, you didn't qualify. You need to go to this school here to be qualified. And I was really upset because how you can, I mean, we are here to educate everybody as one. And I don't know, it's just I got really upset, but okay, I came here to this school, right? Well, my son did. and they accepted them. And this is not even my zone where my kid's supposed to be. So I had to take my other kids out of their zone to bring them here because I couldn't pick up one kid over there and go and pick up the other kid from over here because he got discriminated for what he is. I mean, that's my issue there. I mean, I'm really confused and upset actually too because I mean, in reality, we have to focus more on those kids because once they go to the real world as workforce, that's your main objective, to fix that problem. So, because you got kids right now that they're young and they know what they're going to do because they understand. And then you got the other kids that you need to work a little bit more harder because when you go to the workforce, they're going to be a harder place to find a job. If not, we taxpayers got to take care of that. We got to pay for there every month. Well, this is me.
So I'm not sure I'm following your line of conversation. You had a student who didn't
yes,
qualify.
My question is that after y'all do everything else which I got to do, where does my kid stand here in this situation?
Right. So I don't know what the special needs of your child are. We do have some campuses that have specific units based on the needs of students that not all 12 of our elementaries have, and I'm guessing your child must be in one of those particular units.
Okay.
If that's the case, we would evaluate whether we would continue to have that unit on this campus, or similar to PPCD, if we move it, we would move the entire unit to a neighboring campus. So whatever needs your child has, we will meet them either exactly as we are now with a unit at Dr. Garza, okay, or we would relocate that exact unit to one of our neighboring campuses. But those are fine details that we have not determined yet, but regardless of where that unit goes, your child will be accepted and educated.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I want to underscore that point. I'm glad we're having this conversation because we want to reiterate that we educate 100% of our students. And I think it's the same thing that Mr. Mendez said, is that we are going to educate 100% of our students, every single one of them. So if there's an ounce of skepticism or not believing that we're not going to educate your student if they're special needs, please don't take that mindset. Especially, I would speak for everybody up here that says we are in the business of educating all students, not just certain ones, which is why we're having this conversation. Those of you who brought up the special needs students, I'm glad we're having those conversations because that just makes us and Dr. Carmen be a little bit more intentional about what we're going to do with those students. So thank you.
Permítame traducir también esa pregunta brevemente del señor Almazán. Él tiene un niño que va a clases de educación especial y después de venir a esta ciudad, él vivía en otra ciudad, encontró esta escuela, el niño tiene sus clases aquí y su pregunta era que iba a pasar con esos estudiantes que ya estaban acoplados a esta escuela. Y la respuesta es que para los niños que reciben clases de educación especial, hay muchas clases exclusivas para ellos, pero que es algo que se va a tomar en cuenta y que por eso estamos escuchando sus preguntas y se van a tomar en cuenta, se van a tomar decisiones, pero estamos queriendo educar al 100% de los estudiantes y se va a encontrar la mejor solución. Gracias.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Hello.
Hi, my name is Patrick King. I have two kids here. My oldest son, Patrick King Jr., he's a fourth grader. He's a special needs child. And then I have a first grader, Adam King. And I'm just curious, I know the core classes are going to be included with the STEAM. Is there anything to be taken out since there's so much to be added to it?
No, sir, we're still required to teach the full state curriculum. And there are several models we've looked at that are possibilities. Some accelerate the instruction so that there's time every day to take on some of these activities. Some campuses have a model where if you have a 2-week unit on a traditional campus, you take 9 days of instruction instead of 10, so you're moving a little quicker. And then on that 10th day, You have your day set up for your labs, your hands-on activities, for your experiments, so you're doing all these cross-curricular activities on that 10th day. Those campuses tend to have a separate day for each grade level, so that if we have one lab that we have set up for hands-on activities, kinder might be there one day, then first grade, then second grade. So we're not taking anything out. We just have to be creative with our schedule so that we can get the full state curriculum taught and these extra activities, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Quesada.
Sí. La pregunta del señor King también tiene que ver con los niños de necesidades especiales y pregunta si algo se va a quitar del currículum del Estado para enseñanza de los estudiantes. Y la respuesta del doctor Carmen es que va a haber un modelo a seguir en esta academia y que incluye diferentes maneras de enseñar. Una de ellas es acelerar la instrucción, otra es tener unidades de 2 semanas. En sí va a ser diferente para cada grado, pero se va a seguir lo que está requerido por el Estado. Gracias.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Hello.
Hello, my name is Candy Herrera, and I have 4 sons that come here. I have a 5th grader, Malachi de Leon, a 4th grader, Micah de Leon, a 2nd grader, Uriah de Leon, and a pre-kinder, Josiah Cerdan. And my question mainly is, like, I understand that you all want to bring something new to the district, try something new, but why not just invest that in extracurricular activities? I know that here, Dr. Garza, my sons have told me about fine arts programs, different things that go on here. Mainly it's the fine arts that they're really more interested in. I know that one was in chess for a little while, but why not invest that in extracurricular activities in not only this school, but in other schools as well, so that you don't take out the students from their daily, like what they're already used to. You know, I understand that you said that we're only using like bit of what the school can use, but it's like you said, at the end of the day, it's about the child. It's not about the money, or it's not about air conditioning the school. It's about not uprooting the child from what they're used to, a daily process of what they're used to. And then also, I know, I saw here you all listed the pros is retaining the existing students, but how are you going to retain them if y'all are saying that there's an application process?
Right, so we're talking about the student retention we're talking about within San Benito CISD. We're looking at it from a district-wide perspective. I'm not saying that if we have 384 students in Dr. Garza this year, those same 384 students would be in Dr. Garza next year. What I'm saying is that by offering a choice to our parents, for our students, that instead of them taking them somewhere else, we have a better chance they would keep them within our school district. So when I say retain, I don't mean the exact kids that are walking the halls this year would be right back in the same campus. I'm saying they would have an opportunity for a traditional setting or the opportunity to come to a STEAM academy, and having that choice should retain our students.
And as far as the other question for the investing in extracurricular activities?
Sure. We can continue to invest in our extracurricular activities at our campuses. We have a wide variety of what is that noise? We have a wide...
Is there somebody with a video on? It's cutting out with our sound. It's a phone video.
It's not Joe, so...
We're good? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We continue to invest, and we will continue to invest in our extracurricular activities for our campuses across the district. We have campuses right now that have STEAM initiatives, for example. If those campuses choose to increase that a little bit, and they want to look at the national STEM certification right along with Dr. Garza, that's fantastic. We're happy to add to every single elementary campus across the district. But I believe if we look at what's worked and what's happened in other districts, unless we do something bold, unless we do something innovative, we're still going to have parents who say, thank you for these extracurricular activities, we're going to take our child over here. So we want to provide a separate opportunity, a choice for our parents to be able to bring their students into. But man, by no means do we plan on cutting back or not providing plenty of opportunities for extracurriculars for other campuses.
Okay, and then just really quickly, one last question. So like I said, I have 4 children, and say that some of them, well, obviously I'm gonna apply to keep them all here because I like the school. What if only some of them get accepted and some of them don't? Or if I take them to another school, like you say we're gonna be rezoned to Sullivan, what if Sullivan says, okay, well, with the uploading of all the other children, I only have room for a first grader and for a second grader, I don't have room for your fourth grader or your kindergartner?
That won't happen, ma'am. If we rezone to your home district, to your home campus, spaces there reserved for your child. We will start registration early this spring, so we'll make sure that as people attend to their campuses, that we have them staffed appropriately. We won't turn them away. And we have not yet determined the criteria for how students will be accepted into the STEAM Academy if it's approved. But I can tell you one of the things we will look at very seriously, and we would be foolish not to, we need to look very seriously at allowing siblings in. It's not, in my opinion, fair to a family to say, well, we can allow 1 or 2 kids in, but if you have 4 elementary age students, we're not going to allow the 3rd and the 4th. So that will be a consideration, and as we work on the criteria for students to be accepted into the STEAM Academy, should it be approved, that will be a consideration, ma'am. I think we'd be foolish to accept 2 and not all 4.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Quesada?
Bueno,
We're going to have Ms. Dr. Quesada translate real quick.
la
Thank you.
señora Herrera hizo 3 preguntas. Una de ellas era, ¿por qué no invertir en todas las escuelas para tener más actividades extracurriculares? Y la otra era, ¿cómo le pensamos hacer para retener estudiantes? ¿De qué manera los vamos a retener? Entonces la respuesta que Dr. Carmen le dio es que sí queremos invertir en las otras escuelas y que tengan más actividades extracurriculares, pero también queremos ofrecer algo distinto. Y por eso es que se ofrece esta academia, para que los padres de familia tengan una opción simplemente a dónde quieren mandar a sus niños a la escuela. Y su última pregunta era que ella tiene 3 o 4 niños, que qué pasaría si se acepta un niño a la academia y los otros no. Pero la respuesta fue que sí es algo que se va a tener que tomar en cuenta para que un padre de familia no tenga que llevar a los niños a 2 o 3 escuelas distintas.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Since we're over time, which is fine, because these are great questions, a great dialogue. The 3 individuals standing up here will be our final questions. Yep. All right. Okay, so 2. The last 2 individuals will be the final questions. Dr. Quesada, can you translate?
Sí, como ya se nos está terminando el tiempo, entonces les agradecemos todas sus preguntas. Estas 3 personas van a ser las últimas preguntas que se van a aceptar el día de hoy.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Leonel Ruiz. I have 2 children that come here, Emily and Leo Ruiz. Number 1 question that I have there, why in March? Can't you wait to the end of the year, get those teachers that you can qualify to be here next year and give that chance for the people who are going to apply?
So everything that will take place between the time the board decides whatever it's going to decide is when we will start hiring the new principal, hiring the new teachers, and start figuring out what we're going to do in the student perspective. So it won't be till the end of the school year where these changes will occur. You will have a normal school year throughout the end, and then during the summers when a lot of the changes will occur. So it won't happen in March automatically.
Okay. Another question, Dr. Carmen, you brought the Dallas, Houston school districts. Those are metropolitan cities. What other cities here in the Valley have you seen that the STEAM network does work for them?
Okay. So one of the school districts not too far away, PSJA, has adopted some similar models, and part of it's the same challenges they're facing in terms of charter schools. So they've opened up some different magnet schools all the way through their high schools, where they have early college high schools. Students apply even in PSJA to go to their high schools of choice because they have different focuses. So they're a local one right there, PSJA.
And did they see an increase in the population of students when they opened up?
What they saw was a leveling off. They quit losing students to the same degree that they were losing them prior.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ok.
Dr. Quesada?
Las preguntas eran respecto a los maestros y se le explicó que a pesar de que sí se van a ir aceptando las solicitudes de los maestros y se van a ir designando los maestros, no va a haber cambios este año escolar, simplemente van a estar preparadas para el año que entra. Y la otra pregunta fue para el doctor Carmen, que si él había visto este tipo de academias fuera del área de Houston o de Dallas, sino aquí en el Valle, y el doctor Carmen le explicó que el distrito de PSJA está siguiendo un formato parecido al que él quiere implementar en este distrito.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Pamela Rodriguez, and this is my husband, Raul. We have two kids here, Hennessy and Drayden Gonzalez. They've been moved around very much. Thankfully, we've gotten custody of them. This has been the first school that has actually grounded them so much, so we really wouldn't want to move them out of here. I can definitely speak for a lot of the staff that's here, that they know who my son is. They've helped us work tremendously with him. I would really hate to pull him out, because we had originally moved to Brownsville. We moved back to San Benito due to that reason, because over there we were constantly getting calls that they don't work with my son, they wanted me to put him on medications, this and that. Here he is on medications. Thankfully, thanks to his teacher, Miss Hinojosa, I can definitely say my son has finally, hit AB honor roll. I'm very proud of him for that. My daughter, my daughter's, the reason we really wanted to come up is because we do think one of our kids may qualify for those requirements. You did say already that the other one wouldn't be penalized for it, and I'm very thankful for that. But in my case, my daughter, who would probably meet the requirements, will dyslexia hold her back? Because they have a program here who helps her. She didn't know how to read in first, second grade. Thankfully, in third grade, she's learned to read. Now she's A/B honor roll, thanks to Miss Leos, thanks to this dyslexia program, thanks to all of that here. So with this STEM program, will you all help that out? Will you have a dyslexia program for those students?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the end there because of the clapping, but I think you said we're going to keep dyslexia.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, you will? Okay.
Yes,
that was our main concern, because we don't want to separate our kids. They've been separated enough already. They're originally a total of 7 kids. Their brothers have been adopted out of through foster cares and stuff. But our 2 that are biologically related, they've stayed together. We wouldn't want to separate them. And us going to another school, that's just going to be a whole bunch of problems that we know that we're going to face, because we faced them in Brownsville already. We decided to move back. We moved back to this area only for this school, only for your counselor, who's astounding and has worked wonders with him. Before, a lot of the staff here can tell you that my son does become aggressive. But thanks to the people here, I'm always a text away. They call me, text me, they'll tell me how he's doing, and I'm very thankful for that. I don't think I'll find that in any other school.
Thank you.
So if you need an example of a school, this would be it. Honestly, I was born and raised in Brownsville. We've had magnet programs over there. I'm a proud example of a magnet program. I loved it over there, but they didn't have them starting in this grades. They had them starting in middle school and high school, so that kids are well aware of where they want to go. Yes, you all may see it as a marketing benefit and whatnot, and I agree. San Benito does need to grow, but at the same time, you're not only penalizing other people, you're penalizing a lot of the low-income families around here. We constantly give rights sometimes to people who walk to school, who walk their kids to this school. In the cold weather. They're not going to be able to do that over there. That's something that you all need to think about. There's a lot of families here that walk their kids to school because it's so close. How are they going to be able to walk them over there? They may not be able to. They'll have to take the bus. Okay, that's understandable. But what if they want to take their child to school?
Right, so you're correct. We would transport those students, and if the distance is too far to walk, you're correct, they probably would not walk them. That certainly is a possibility. But again, understand that the criteria for enrolling on this campus has not yet been set. From what I'm hearing, as I explained, some districts use an entire lottery system where you apply, you go. I'd mentioned, I think, earlier that we could do some kind of a hybrid model or a combined model.
Okay.
We could consider giving priority to students who are currently zoned to Dr. Garza.
Yeah, would you have like a grandfather clause here?
Possibly. I mean,
Yes? Okay,
that's
that
a
was-
possibility. And still, with the classrooms that are here, we could still open it up and add in another 400 students. That's certainly a possibility.
Will it be with the same staff, or it's going to be, obviously going to be new staff, correct?
Not necessarily. The staff would have the opportunity to return here, but as I stated, if they're going to be on a STEAM Academy, they have to be willing to commit to do the training. They have to be willing to add those activities into their instruction. And it may be that 100% of them say, yes, absolutely, I can buy into that. I'll put in the extra time for the training this summer. I'll put in the extra time this summer for the preparation. Yes, absolutely, I want to do that.
So
They're-
by when would, like
they're-
around what time would be the end of the year? That way I can go ask them if they're going to move to another campus, because you know what, I'm going to want to follow them. Yes, one of my child may not meet the requirements, but definitely they help me with his behavior-wise. They have the patience for his schooling. I'm in awe with the school, honestly.
So the timeline would be by the end of April, we plan to have our faculty named for this campus if it's approved.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you for those questions. Dr. Quesada? One last time.
Y las preguntas de la señora Rodríguez, una agradece a la escuela, agradece a las maestras de sus niños y agradece al consejero de esta escuela o consejera porque han trabajado muy bien con su niño, especialmente en el área del comportamiento. Pero la pregunta de ella tiene que ver con las clases de dislexia, porque su niña recibe clases de dislexia y pregunta si las clases de dislexia se ofrecerían con la Academia de STEAM. El doctor Carmen le contestó que sí se van a ofrecer. Su otra pregunta era el transporte, porque explica que muchos padres de familia traen a sus niños a esta escuela porque viven cercas y que al cambiar de zona quizás tendrán que ir en autobús. Y pues el doctor Carmen le explicó que sí es parte de la rezonificación y sí se ofrecería el transporte a través de autobús escolar. Y por último, ella preguntó que para cuándo las maestras sabrían si se van a quedar en esta escuela o se van a cambiar, porque ella agradece tanto al trato que le han dado a sus hijos que ella quiere seguir a las maestras a la escuela que vayan. Ok, eso es todo.
Thank you, Dr. Quesada. So as you can see, this is why we hosted this event, because this has been very eye-opening, at least for me. It's good to hear from the actual individuals it's going to affect, which is why we came to you. And remember, when I started off this meeting, I said this board is about transparency, it's about working with you, and it's about communication. We could have been a board that could have made the decision, done it, and moved on, but we did not do that. So I hope you understand that us being together today is a testament to that and the understanding that we will continue to be transparent. And we will take all of this information, all of these recommendations into effect and to our full proposal. And just like Ms. Lambert and her team has been saying, that's what it is, a proposal. So I'm going to give the opportunities for the other board members to say anything that they have before we end. But I will leave with this. Change is not easy. It never is. But please keep in mind that we are doing this in the best interest of your students. We're looking long term in terms of where San Benito will be. If we think about where San Benito has been, where we are and we want to be, it's definitely an upward trend in every sense of the word. And I would say the biggest one, which I think you can trust us, because you only can trust somebody with their money, right? And so what I mean by that is only, if we think about it, a year and a half or 2 years ago when we had a previous board, we came in with about $8 million in what we call our fund balance, or what we call a surplus. And that is pretty low because under the districts, our board policy states that we need to have at least 3 months worth of operating funds in the fund balance, which would be about $30 million. Well, we're close to hitting that. But that's just a testament to the community that we have been responsible with your funds, with your taxes as taxpayers, and we have done a lot of things to make sure that we're improving the district so we can start talking about things like this, which is where we can start recommending the STEAM academies. We can start recommending innovations that will be great for this community. So thank you for me. We heard a lot of great things. I loved your passion. It was great. And so I will turn it over to anybody who has anything to add before we end and listen to our wonderful choir to end the night.
Well, I just want to say a couple of words. The purpose of these meetings is just so the community can understand and realize the hurdles that we face as a board. When we take office and we sit here, we have to think of the district as a whole. So if we want what's best for our district and provide our kids the best opportunity to succeed and give them the best resources to succeed, we got to think about our staff as well. Our staff is great. That's the reason why our kids accomplish what they accomplish, because it's a collaboration between our staff and our parents, which we thank you all very much for entrusting your kids in our school district. So when we look at the data that was presented, and we see this data on a daily basis, and we try to sit back and figure out what do we need to do as a district in order for this district to move in a positive direction, so we don't, not only do we provide our kids with the best education possible, but also so we can retain our great teachers and administrators that we have. Because if you look at our data, we continue to lose children. Okay, so what does that mean? Eventually, like it said, we lose children, we're going to lose staff. So it's a very difficult balance, but this is one of the very difficult parts of this role as a public servant, that we have to undertake, and I'm very privileged and honored to be here to help facilitate the needs of this district, and we will move forward, and we care about you very much as well as our staff, and thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Lopez. Next.
I want to thank you all too as well for coming in and expressing your views, your concerns. Know that what we do, we'll do for the best interest of your child. We will never be out here to hurt your child or yourself, okay? But we'll do everything we can for the best of your child and San Benito. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Next.
Hello, I just want to say thank you and advise you, don't sell your child short of the possibilities that they can do. Recently, I was traveling with a friend and his son and my nephew to Rio Grande City. I had a little box there with me. I didn't know what it was. The kid, 7 or 8 years old, said, let me have it. So, what is it? It was a Wi-Fi. They connected, they have fun. Okay, give me your phone. Let me connect your phone to it. So, technology is changing with time, and we need to change with time. So, don't let your kids get shorted out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rosas. Next. Ms. Cruz.
I would just like to say that parents, I want you to understand that you all are the most powerful people in the school district. And it is not the board's ultimate decision on implementing this academy. The decision will be yours. You are the taxpayers, and you elected us, and you also pay every employee in the school district. So ultimately, you've got the power.
Thank you, Ms. Cruz. Next.
Saludos a la hermosa. First of all, I heard a lot of comments about special ed or special needs, okay? I don't think we should have the special need children isolated or segregated from the regular student population. I think they should have equal opportunity to compete and to be successful, okay? I think we should, I'm for the STEM Academy, I really am, because that's going to put us at a higher level for our kids to be successful. But, the shuffling of the kids from all over the campuses, I'm sort of not for that. I think we should relook at that and see what we can do to minimize that. Because we're not only affecting the kids, we might be separating kids. Como a lot of these people had 2 or 3 kids, you know, and some of them might qualify for the STEM, some might not. So here we go. We're going to put them in a very adverse position. No nomás ellos, para los parents también. And like Ana said, we are elected officials. You elected us. You entrusted us to do the best for your children. And that's what we need to do. Just trust us, and it's you know, they're little kings that we can work out. We just need your trust, okay? Thank you.
Test 1, 2. Lastly, and again, I'll reiterate what the board members said, and I'd like to thank you all, extend my gratitude for every single one of you that actually participated in this community event. I think it's the first time that I see the entire room full of our community. And this is indeed, as Ms. Cruz said, it is powerful because you all are bringing your voice to us and we're listening. That's what it's about. We're here to listen to every single one of you, to your comments, to your concerns, and we're not going to shy away from that. We're going to be very straightforward. We're going to take every consideration into account. And keep in mind, we're going to make the decisions, and the decisions that we made is going to be for the best interest of your child and our community here in San Benito. Thank you very much and good night.
Now we're going to if Ms. Lambert wants to say a few words and introduce choir. Yeah, everybody give a round to Ms. Lambert. Round of applause.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for being here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being so patient with us as well. And thank you so much for bringing your children and waiting for them. Tonight we have our fine arts teacher who has prepared our children for a song by the title of How Far I'll Go. Our children can go very, very, very far, and that is our goal, that we push them as far as they can go, because our goal is that every single child that graduates from Dr. Raul Garza and San Benito High School goes to college, that they go to a university, and that they become productive citizens here in our society. We want to make sure that these children that are here are the leaders of tomorrow, that we want to make sure that they're prepared, and that with your help, as always, because you have been always super supportive, 100%, I can say 200%, there isn't a 200%, so 100% of the time you have been extremely supportive of our children and our students and our students and our teachers and everything that we do here on the campus. So with your help, we know that these children are going to go very, very far. We know that they will succeed. And remember, as I've told you always, there is nothing that can stand in your way for your child not to get an education. There are grants, there are scholarships, there are people out there that are there to help you make sure that your child succeeds in this world. And we are here, as we've told you day in and day out. Even if your child is in 10th, 11th, 12th grade, we are here for you. You can always come back and you can ask us, what do I do? What do I need to do? Where do I go? How can I apply? We are here committed to your children 100% of the time. So thank you so much for being here. Otra vez a los padres quiero darles las gracias y agradecimiento por estar aquí hoy. Por su paciencia esperando los niños. Quiero darles las gracias y como siempre, ustedes saben que ustedes nos han apoyado 100% de las veces que hemos tenido actividades, que hemos tenido programas, que hemos tenido funciones aquí en la escuela, y con su apoyo sabemos que estos niños van a graduar y es la meta que ellos gradúen no nada más de aquí de nuestra escuela siendo excelentes estudiantes, pero que salgan de la preparatoria y que estén listos y preparados para el colegio y que vayan a una universidad. Estos niños van a ser los estudiantes que van a ser los líderes en nuestras ciudades. Ellos van a ser los que van a estar corriendo el mundo en 15, 20 años. Entonces queremos que estén bien preparados. Con la ayuda de ustedes, sabemos que estos niños, todos tienen que ir a colegio. Porque si no van a colegio, va a ser una vida muy difícil para ellos. Sabemos eso, que en este punto, en este tiempo que estamos en este mundo, es una era muy difícil. Si los niños no tienen esa educación, no van a poder sobresalir en este mundo. Y yo sé que la meta de todos de ustedes como padres es que sus hijos sean productivos, que vayan a una universidad y que salgan adelante. Entonces, esa es la meta que tenemos, no solamente como escuela aquí en Dr. Raúl Garza, pero como el distrito de San Benito. Entonces, les doy las gracias otra vez de todo corazón por estar aquí hoy, esta noche, por estar con nosotros y por ser pacientes con nosotros para ver la canción que ha preparado nuestra maestra de artes, Miss Christian Rodríguez. El título de la canción es How Far I'll Go, de la película Moana. So, Ms. Rodriguez, thank you so much, and boys and girls, thank you for your patience.
Thank you to the choir. Thank you, Ms. Lambert, for your leadership here at this campus. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting? Moved by Mr. Lopez. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by everybody. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned at exactly 8:23 p.m.